someone is trying to call me on WhatsApp, on Messenger. Shut up, can talk.
Right, Facebook's live, YouTube's live.
It's still thinking.
I know now. Oh, what? Are we here, boys? Are we here, boys?
Oh my God. I mean, what a nightmare. Thanks to Apple for your support or lack thereof when updating to Big Sur. You just fucked up my entire system. But I've managed to work my way through it and we are back.
Well, can we both do can we quickly do a quick high five virtually?
Virtually.
Click to Joel for being amazing, because I tell you what, the fucking stress that Joel's been under in the past fucking hour and a half is unbelievable. And I want to say something before we start, boys. Can I have a little bit of a rant? Do you mind?
Here you go.
Steve Jobs, listen, man. In your time, when you were alive, watching from above, you were amazing. Yes, you're a visionary. However you want to be viewed, I don't give a fuck. But here's what I think about you right now, Steve Jobs. You're an absolute nipple. That's what I think of you. After putting our poor Joel through the stressy dream. Oh, I'm going to update the operating system. Oh, I'm going to make it better. No, you're not. You're making it worse. And you know you are. And all you do is just fuck everybody off because all the programs that have been working perfectly, like the week before, suddenly don't work properly anymore. And Tim Cook, you, number one, sort your second name out because you can't cook. And number two, sort your fucking head out because you look gone with some glasses on. And number three, sort your operating systems out and start naming them properly.
The thing is, when they released the latest OS, Big Sur, they released it as a beta.
Big
as
Sur,
as a beta, so it's still under testing. Why do they release an operating system that's still under testing? For fuck's sake, they've got beta testers to go through this, developers. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Tim Cook's got so much money. He don't need to have beta testers. He can have alpha testers, beta testers, tenty testers, mentor testers, fucker testers, fucking you name it. He can have anything he wants. What does he do? Oh, I'm going to call it Big Sur. Oh, look at me. Me fucking glasses on.
Anyway, that's enough. Yes.
Don't be jealous is enough. Let's see what people do. 2 weeks where we
Lee, just come to move slightly to the left so we can see you. Yep.
Okay,
That's it.
sorry.
Okay, great,
move to the
good.
left, then to the right.
Okay, so this week,
Let's go around
Lee.
the room, boys. Let's go around the room. Let me start, if I will. How has your week been, Joel?
My week has been pretty quiet this week. I have been actually conversing with Apple via Twitter, and they've been no help whatsoever. Because once they've locked you in to a new operating system, they won't let you go back to a previous operating system. I asked them quite simply, could you send me a link to a previous operating system that I can download and install? And they said no.
Well, do you know what I said to him? Well, I'll tell you what, no, here's what I'm going to do. Come down and burn your fucking dog.
Oh. No.
Obviously, I wouldn't have burnt the dog because I love dogs. But I burnt Tim Cook's glasses. I just said, Tim, it's like this, mate. If you don't convert me back to my old operating system, I'm going to get your glasses and I'm going to melt them on a big bomb bag with a load of fucking old operating systems that you've done. Bullshit bastards doing out else.
But what do we have first up on the list?
Well, before we do that, Arel, how's your week been?
A bit stressful at the beginning.
Why?
A bit that. Well, because of the university, I had to finish an assignment quickly, writing 2,000 words assignment, a lot about English language and all that bullshit. But yeah, all done.
Are you calling the English language bullshit there, Arel?
Huh?
Are you calling the English language bullshit there?
Well, it's a lot about the bullshit that people they don't use anymore.
Listen, if you're talking English language bullshit, if you're doing English language bullshit, then listen, give me a quick ring in the week. I can talk you right through it. Because I'm a master of the art. But anyway, before we do that, let's move on, boys. Let's should we get on to about the news this week?
Go for it.
Hang on, Gary Bailey says it's not anything I have not touched. Promise, laugh out loud. Gary, how you doing, my brother? Much love to you. I hope that you're all right, brother. I'm in Manchester.
Apparently, you need to turn up Lee a bit higher, Lee. No joke.
Unless you can turn yourself down a bit, Arel. I can't really turn Lee up from here.
Again, but I told you it's almost to zero, mine.
I just put it closer, right?
Yeah.
How's that?
That's it. Okay. A bit. We can't do much about it, but let's crack on.
I'll just talk louder. Then my mum will come running in and goes, kick your voice down.
Yeah, but apparently hardly can listen. Ian, it's good if you not hear Lee that well.
I've just turned them up. I've just turned both of you up. That's it. We're good.
There you go. Right, cool. Lynn Nessa said £44,000 of takeaways for the Twat Hancocks team. Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of spending in this country, and nothing for us apparently, only for government.
Yeah, SUNAKS released his spending review, which we're going to touch on it any second. Lee, if you want to take it away.
We are, because as we all know, folks, this week has been the government spending review. Now, we're not going to bore anybody with like boring facts, but let's bore you with some facts. The government is on course. Rishi Sunak has given out his spending review this week, and is on course to spend 280 billion this year, and apparently 55 billion next year to tackle the pandemic. He told MP today. Now, some of these facts, right, that I'm going to read out, I'm not too sure about some of them, but hey ho, anyone out there watching, please tell me otherwise. Key spending review points for this week has been that there's going to be a pay rise for over 1 million nurses, doctors, and other workers in the NHS. But the pay rise has been paused for the rest of the public sector next year. We'll get back to that one, boys. However, the 2.1 million public sector workers earning less than £24,000 will receive a rise of at least £250 a year. And this means the majority of public employees will see their pay increase in 2021. Now, before we go on to the next point, boys, and I won't hold on this one too long. Nonsense with you.
Okay.
Nonsense. taking inflation into account, this means virtually a pay freeze. It really doesn't mean this is meaningless. But hey ho, I'm not going to let my personal opinion.
And none of this is for us. No, any cent or any penny.
Well, not only that, it's not only that. 24 grand. Listen, let's get
I don't make that
Well,
much,
they've increased benefit payments by a few pence, universal credit by a
there
few
you go.
pence, you know, and stuff like that. But, you know, I mean, I guess in their defence, they have forked out billions for furloughs and to try and keep everyone afloat during this past year. So, you know, in terms of like balancing the books, I guess they. You know, they're in a major deficit. They're having to try and pinch left, right, and centre. So,
Joel, I love you, brother, but in response to what you just said there, can I just reply?
yeah.
You keep using the term there, and I find that a little bit difficult to deal with because it's not them, it's us. What they're doing is basically they have got the taxpayers' money, and they are the ones that are overseeing taxpayers' money. So you, Joe, and URL, and myself, who pay tax, they're overseeing the taxpayers' money. So it's not they are, it's we are. And so they're not forking out anything. We are forking out. And in fact, we're not forking out. Our kids, grandkids are forking out because now we're borrowing 5 generations down the line here. So I understand I understand the context in which you're placing it, but I'm not too sure about the wording with regards to day. No day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, since tax began, you know, they're using our money to govern the country. However,
they're overseeing our money.
Yeah. It's
our money.
Our tax.
And exactly. And I take into account all of the points with regards, you know, the fact that this is an unforeseen circumstance with regards to COVID and all the rest of it. But they are overseeing our money. We voted them to oversee our money.
Yeah.
So with regard, keeping that in mind.
But you know, when we pay our tax, I'm pretty sure it's then their money.
Well, let's not forget the fact that MPs got a pay rise this year. Let's not forget the fact that they got a pay rise. I'm not too sure how much it was because I can't recall the actual statistics right now. But if you go and Google it, or maybe you can do that for us, brother. Go and Google MPs pay rise this year.
Oh yeah.
That'd be a good one to get into the debate. Because
well, he's announced a public sector pay freeze and cut foreign aid spending. What?
I've not got a light on. I had to cook to get one.
Well, apparently a pay rise of £3,300.
Oh, really? What, MPs?
Yes.
Right.
So MPs have got a £3,300 pay rise this year.
And we get nothing, virtually.
And basically, nurses and doctors and all of the public sector people that are working, keeping our families alive in hospital, and our friends and families that are in hospital dying, they get a 200 and what is it? 200 and they get at least 250 quid a year pay rise. Well, thanks, Rishi, for taking care of our money in the best way possible and handing it out in the best way that you can. But anyway, let's not put too much.
Well, the minimum wage goes up again.
By how much?
Well, with the 19 pence, so basically now it goes to £8.91 per hour.
£2.
Or nearly £9.
£91 an hour. There you go.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so
with all that in mind,
but
let's give the man his due. Let's give the man his due. Let's give him a bit of slack here because he's got an hard job to do at an hard time. So I'm not going to criticise him too deeply, but apparently the United Kingdom economy this year is going to fall 11.3%, the biggest drop in 300 years. So he says, And UK borrowing this year is expected to be 394. I'll repeat that figure for you. 394 billion, which is equivalent to, now these figures vary wildly, because the figures that we've got here say that the biggest drop in 300 years, but it says that the GDP, the borrowing, is expected to be the equivalent to 19% of GDP for this country. But I've read elsewhere that it's actually not 19%, it's actually 22% of the UK GDP. Now think about this, folks. That is a fifth of our yearly income as a nation. They're borrowing a fifth of it. A public pay freeze for public sector, except for the very lowest paid. Small increase to national living wage as a rel. What was it again?
Will be £8.91 per hour. So it was £8.70.
So it's 20 pence. 20. Well, fair enough. 20 odd pence.
I think it was £8.72 per hour. So now they increase with. I'm not sure exactly how much it was, but they increased with 19 pence.
Right.
So you reached to £8.91.
3 billion for the NHS, and 2 billion to keep transport arteries open, which is actually quite good, but only specifically for London. And I'll tell you why, boys. I'm in Manchester and I live in London, so this is a completely non-biased opinion. I live in London, but I'm staying in Manchester with my family at the moment for reasons. Family members have died, whatever. And in London, obviously, the transport system needs a huge injection of cash because there's less people travelling because of lockdown. We understand that, right? So 3 billion is cool. But in the north, public transport has been slashed to such a huge degree. I'm telling you this from personal experience right now. If I try and get a bus to Manchester city centre from my mother's house, where I'm staying right now, there's only 2 buses, that run, and they run per hourly. So get your head around that. If you live in London, it's an hard one to get your head around. But imagine if you needed to travel to the West End now, wherever you are in London, and only 2 buses run, and they only run hourly during the day. Imagine if you were having to commute or anything of that nature. It's a big one to think about. So fair enough. But anyway, and it's put 250 million to help end rough sleeping. Well, nice one, Rishi. 250 million, a quarter of a billion. Is it a quarter of a billion? Yes, it is. Anyway, he's also announced a public sector pay freeze and a cut to foreign aid spending. Now, let's get to this one, shall we, guys? Foreign aid spending. Now, has anyone got any comments out there that's watching us tonight on foreign aid spending? I'll tell you why. Some people will go, fuck the foreign aid spending. Fucking sending our money over abroad. Fucking helping other people out. We need to keep the money on in this country. And there's elements to me that will go, yes, I agree with that.
Well,
and then
the second highest aid donor in the G7. So basically, the first one will be America, I think, isn't it?
No, I think it's actually Germany, if not mistaken. I think it's Germany. I could be wrong. Anyone can.
Wow. How much money's got Germany to send out?
Now, if you think foreign aid spending, and I pose this as a question. This isn't my personal point of view. I pose this as a question to people watching us now and people that may want to debate with us. Right? Is the arguments are from the right? Believe it or not, the arguments from the right are: don't cut foreign aid spending, because if you cut foreign aid spending, you reduce our potential sway on the world stage. Because foreign aid spending from countries dictates your stance on the world stage. So America, Germany, China, the UK, we've always our normal allowance in our GDP was, I think it was 0.2%, 0.5 or 7% of our GDP was to foreign aid, right? And that made us a huge player on the world stage. At this point, the foreign secretary resigned today. Torres resigned today in absolute disgust at the fact that Boris is overseeing his chancellor allowing our foreign aid to be cut. Now, what are your thoughts, folks? Let us know what you think on this. What do you think? Do you think our foreign aid should be cut, and do you think the money should be spent more wisely, here, or do you think that it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do because it reduces our prominence on the world stage? What are your thoughts? Let us know what you think. What do you think, Joel?
I just want to ask people watching if they can hear any interference, because I've got a bit of interference in my ears right now. So let us know if you can hear that interference so I can try and sort it out. But what Lee was just saying about foreign aid, he was just talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my notes here, and you're right that the MP did resign over it. Sorry, Lee, you're going to have to carry on because I was focused on the sound issue.
It's all right, no worries. Well, what I'll do is I've got a few of the people that have messaged already.
Yeah.
Jody Chowler said to enrich themselves and their mates. Gary Bailey has said tax money is gone, the country is skin. There you go, good point. The country is skin. I would agree on that one, Gareth. He also said it doesn't matter what government is in charge, the government has no choice but to borrow. Of course, but the thing is, but the borrowing on stuff. Do you remember when the Tories got in on this idea that they were going to reduce the deficit and all the rest of it? Well, that went out the door years ago. That was just an election bullshit. But I appreciate the fact that because the times that are unique, there's a lot more borrowing needs to go on. But it's the way you spend the money, in it, you know what I mean? Vanessa said, and hospital car parks and the cost for nurses. Rub it in a bit more. Thanks for all your hard work. Really, it is shameful. Jodie Chowler said, yep, our services have been slashed. Many routes don't run on a Sunday at all. Jodie, where do you live? And then Nessa saying, it's very fuzzy, the noise. I think we're having a problem with the sound.
Has somebody said that?
Yeah, Lynn Nessa said that yes, it's very fuzzy. Is there a problem with the noise, with the sound, folks? Let us know. Let us know what if we can, because we don't know until you tell us. Arel, can you see the messages?
No, I can hear the interference on the live feed coming back. Well, that's Apple for you folks. Sorry, going to have to try and deal with it. But Apple's screwed us.
How is the sound right? How is the sound right now?
Well, there's a crackling interference.
Yeah, they can hear like.
Yeah.
There's a crackling interference.
Yeah.
They can hear.
So, I can't. I don't know why it's kicked back in. But Lee, do you want to move on?
Yeah, we'll move on.
Because we're talking about in our list of topics, we've got a stain on British history, we've got Diego Maradona's death, we've got COVID-19 vaccines, we've got aliens, pigeons, and parrots coming up.
Aliens, pigeons, and parrots. Let's move on from the economy because I'm sure that everyone's like fucking up to the eyeballs with it and it's completely sort of over the bit.
Yeah.
So let's go on to Diego Maradona then, folks, shall we?
Diego Maradona.
Yeah, Diego Maradona.
Yeah.
Diego Maradona now. Where do we
60 years old. 60 years old. Had a great career. Had trouble with drugs and alcohol and died of a heart attack.
Died of a heart attack. Now let's Gaz, maybe Gary Bailey or anyone out there that's a football fan like myself. I'm sure that we all will go, Diego, we love you, man. You're an amazing footballer. Don't get me wrong. Listen, you play football far better than I can, and far better than Arel and Joel can. But at the end of the day, right? it's a shame that anyone died, without question, and we pay our respects to a great footballer. But he did knock us out the fucking World Cup, and we'll go through to a fight. He did fucking handball a fucking ball into the net, right? So I'm sorry, I can't be fake. He handballed a fucking ball into the net that sent us out the final of the World Cup. So at the end of the game, Diego, you're a massive sniffhead, right? And you were, and you know you were. You used to sniff lots and lots of cocaine. He was caught. In fact, he was banned. He was banned after scoring a goal in the World Cup.
Yeah. He was banned in 1991 after testing positive for cocaine while playing for Napoli.
I think Dave Jinx Johnson he mixed up people. Apparently said that he was the best basketball player in '86. He's a footballer. He's a footballer. That hold the ball in his hand is literally kicking with his foot.
No, I understand exactly what he's saying there. Yeah, basically, the thing was that it was a shame. It was a shame because his second goal after the handball goal, was fantastic. I mean, he went past that defence, he cut through him like cream cheese. He was an amazing footballer, and God rest his soul. You know what I mean? I hope he's okay.
But
up there,
he went for the other side, where he took drugs and he destroyed his career.
But he did. He was a massive cocaine fiend, and
he had lots of issues. He had brain surgery at one point as well. He wasn't very healthy person, unfortunately. But R.I.P. Maradona. Next up on the list we have Lee.
Okay, well let's move into vaccines, boy.
Oh, yes. Dad.
Let's talk vaccines. So listen, here's the thing. Do anyone watch the Trump video of his press conference?
Oh, which one?
It was the only one that he's given since the point where he got completely annihilated.
Right. Yeah. No, I haven't watched it actually.
Well, I tell you what he did. He came out and he basically came out and just had a huge assault on the big pharmaceutical industries in America, and which is weird until you realise the fact that if you remember before the election day, he was relying upon the fact there's going to be a vaccine available to him 2 weeks before, and it's obviously been sat in a room with the heads of the big pharmas like Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson, and all these other people, and they've all said, "Don't worry, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, we will have a vaccine ready for you in time for your election campaign." And he's gone, fantastic. And if you watch the press conference that he did on the run-up to his campaign, he said, "I've got something coming for you, folks. I've got something coming for you, and it's a bit of a surprise, but it's a vaccine, and it'll be there." And it wasn't there because when they did the tests, they found it was less than 85 to 90% effective. And as we've discussed before, 90% is all well and good until you take the other 10% into account. And when you place 10% into a worldwide audience, which is, however, is it 30 billion or something? I don't know.
No, there's 7 point something billion people.
Oh, right, 7 point something billion people. Yeah. When you take 10% of the 7 billion people that potentially take this vaccine, well, Joe, you're good at maths. What's 10% of 7 point whatever it is billion?
Well, is it like 700 million or something?
Will die if they take this vaccine.
Oh, could possibly.
That's what allegedly.
Well, no, could. I mean, if you get COVID, it's not a death sentence, but unless you're vulnerable or have underlying health conditions.
Right. But if let's say, which I would imagine, at least 70 to 80% of those people then go away and take this vaccine, right? Well, the number of people that will take it, if it's 90%, 85 to 90% effective, well then what you're doing is you're guaranteeing that 10 or 15% of those people are going to react badly to that vaccine. That should never be put on the market, and it would never be put on the market if it wasn't the situations that we're living in right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, you've got to think about who's actually willing to take the vaccine as well, because there's a lot of anti-vaxxers out there. So the take up on a vaccine, no, but there's thousands of them out there, and you've just got to think, how many people are actually going to take this, and how many people is it going to take to make it safe to have close contact with people again.
So I'm not anti-vax, by the way.
No. Yeah.
I'll give you an example as to why. When I'm staying right now in Manchester, my mum's next door neighbour is. I've known her for 35 years. As long as I've lived here, she's like a close family friend. The other day, she was taken to hospital. She had COVID, right?
Yeah.
And she was taken in with COVID. And so, I mean, and I'm staying here now, and I'm fully aware of the fact that if a vaccine came up, man, I'm telling you now, I'd take it tomorrow. No question about it. Because all I care about is the fact that my family is safe. So I'm sure there's a lot of people like, but so anyway, back to Trump. Trump gave his press conference, and he came out firing all guns against big pharmaceuticals, saying how he's going to put legislation down here, there, that we over against big pharma, but he's handed Pfizer the 150 billion or whatever it is contracts for the vaccine, right? Because they were the only ones that stood by, and even though the figures said there's a good chance you might get sued to death here, and it might end up costing us billions, we're going, here's the vaccine. It's only 85 to 90% sure, but there you go, we can have it. So he's backed them, he's given them the contract, and he's come out and he's now, in the last breath of his presidency, is condemning all of the pharmaceutical companies, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll come down on them like a ton of bricks. But what this means to the United Kingdom, to us people living in this country, the United Kingdom, is that we as we approach Brexit with a no deal, by the way, folks. Yeah. As we approach it with a no deal, it means we go to every nation with our cap in our hands like Oliver. Please, sir, can I have some more? It means we go to every nation when we approach the trade negotiations with nothing in our favour. And the only thing we've got in our favour in this country is the NHS. It's the only thing we have left, in my opinion. It's the only national asset that we socially paid for and is worth a lot of money. And we buy our drugs on bulk, right? We buy them in bulk format from the big pharmaceutical companies. And we get them at a discount because we're a bulk buyer. That's just business, that's the way it works. The more you buy, the less it costs. And it's also because we've got a copyright claim, which means we can make generic forms of drugs that the big pharmaceutical companies in America make that you'd have to normally pay £5 for. So boys, you'll appreciate this. Imagine a Viagra, if you would. To buy that market value, right, would cost you about £3. But if you buy a generic form of it, like Camagra, or all these other generic forms that we buy them, you get them at like 50 pence or £1. That's the way the NHS buys drugs from the big pharmaceutical companies. What Trump has done here is laid legislation down before he goes out, which means that we will lose our copyright claim. And when we go to negotiate our trade deal with the United States, we are basically going to end the NHS. It's going to be over because all the drugs we buy now.
Let's Trump's on his way out, Biden's on his way in. Yeah, he's not going to do the same as Trump. Huh?
Biden's already made it clear. He has made it clear with regards how he stands with regards to the United Kingdom and Brexit.
Well, he said that the Irish border must remain open. He said that much.
Exactly. Which means that he doesn't agree with Brexit, right? Which also means that any trade deal that we have potentially, let's not forget, he's a lame duck president now, Donald Trump. So he is going to be signing executive orders at the rate that is as fast as I can write the fuckers. He's made it clear how he stands with regard to big pharmaceuticals. When we and negotiate our trade deal with America, we are fucked. And that, in my opinion, means we are virtually witnessing the end of the NHS, because you cannot sustain financially the NHS, where the drugs you're paying this much for today, you're going to be paying 10 times.
Let me tell you how much the vaccine is going to cost. So it says here, each of the 3 vaccines' price tags varies wildly. Although this will be paid for by the government, so it will be free for those using the NHS. Moderna vaccine is very expensive. It was pitched for £28 a dose, much higher than Pfizer. £28 a dose. £28 a dose, and that's much higher than Pfizer, which was £15 a dose. However, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine will be much cheaper. The company is saying it will cost the government the same price as a cup of coffee, and
Isn't that the English one?
And that's the English one. That's the that's the English one, and it will be a little under £3 per dose, with 1.5 or 2 doses needed. So the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is the cheapest one by far.
So you want me to
because it's not making any profits. You see, Moderna is a commercial company, and that has they're saying they have to make profit, but AstraZeneca aren't going to make any profit on this drug. That's why they're able to make it so cheap.
Right.
There you go. What do you need to know? What do you need to know? Listen, it's very, very simple, isn't it? Listen,
and they're 90% effective.
90% effective. And if you look into the details,
you see, Pfizer is 95% effective, and Moderna, I think, is around that as well. But AstraZeneca and Oxford are 90.
Who's got the AA phone?
Who's got the AA phone? Have you got the
I have got it here.
Is it on?
There's a guy calling you from California. He's trying to call you from California.
Well,
I was not able to get through on the phone. Hello from California.
Hello, California. Here we are. We're here.
Have you got a missed call or anything on that phone?
But the number that is on the screen is the same with the one that you have on your phone, Lee.
Well, I imagine so. It's the AA phone, so I imagine it's the same number. Listen, folks, if you want to phone us, the number is, and I'll get it up for you now. Hang on 1 second. I'll get it up for you again, because I always forget it. The number for our broadcast is 07366 508 184. So that's
he said that he was getting.
Okay, no, hold on, no, that was me. I'm just testing it. It is, it is working. So the person in California, if you're still watching, make sure you put in the UK. Make sure you put in the UK dialing code, which is +44 +44 7366 508 184. So +44 7366 508 184 if you're calling from abroad.
There you go. And also, just getting back to the messages that we've had while we're broadcasting, boys.
So normally, let me tell you something. There is a problem here. It's not 90% AstraZeneca efficient. It's only 70%.
No. Actually, what it is it's 60% effective. If you take, hold on, let me get back to this. Here we go. The Oxford trial found. It's 2 doses. The Oxford trial found with 2 doses, its vaccine was 62% effective. But when people were given half a dose followed by a full dose, it became 90% effective. So that's what they're going to do.
Exactly. And the most effective vaccine that's been brought to the market so far has been AstraZeneca, which is an English-based company, but they've bypassed it. The Americans have completely bypassed it, and they held it back because they, at the time, were only showing 85% success rate. They held it back, but this nipple, Trump, has gone for the Pfizer vaccine, which is 90% effective. But
95.
It's not 95 though, brother. It's not 95. Maybe
They're saying
out there can,
no. They said Pfizer is 95%.
in what age range, by the way?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but Pfizer is only if you you administrate 2 doses is 95%. Oxford, they said that 1.5 is effective 70%.
No, one and a half doses is 90% effective. 2 doses is 60. Yeah, from AstraZeneca. Yeah, it's the 2 dose which is 62% effective.
But they said that the news there's only 1.5 dose from Oxford Circus, which they said that will be 70% effective.
No, I've got it from news sources saying 1.5 doses is 90% effective.
Oh, since when?
Since
Because upon
today.
BBC they had a different news from Oxford.
Yeah, I think where you're getting confused here is the 2-dose vaccine and the 1.5 dose vaccine. The 2-dose vaccine is less effective, so they're not going to go with it. The 1.5 dose vaccine is 90% effective.
Yeah. The bottom line is that from what I'm telling you what I've read and what you're reading it right now online. So check my facts, man. But the vaccine, bottom line, vaccine. There's 4 people come to the market and said, "Here's our vaccine," and it's been proven. The British one that was developed by AstraZeneca, the one that the one that was developed in the UK, and that one apparently is the most effective. It's a 2-dose thing, but it's most effective. Proven over a period of time. The one that Trump's gone with is the one from Pfizer, which is the one that financed his political campaign, by the way. So obviously there's no connection there, obviously. That's what it's run with. Which one would you take, boys? Which one will you take, folks? That's not what you think.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy with Oxford AstraZeneca, really, but
I'd take that all day long, my brother. I'd take that all day long.
But the government have also said that they're embarking on a mass testing plan for England. Well, weren't they meant to do that 6 months ago?
No, they were supposed to do that 8 months ago.
8 months ago.
8 months ago, before the previous lockdown, my brother. Before
Crazy.
the previous lockdown, a mass testing was supposed to go on.
Well, they've just announced it again.
Isn't it crazy, folks? Please tell me if I'm right or wrong. And the whole point of this is I want to provoke your thoughts, folks. Not only my brothers that I'm talking to.
Well, I'm still trying to see if the guy from California will be able to go through that phone, because I sent him the number with the UK code.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Don't worry. I'm sure if he can, he will. Don't worry. If he gets back, he will. I want to provoke thought with you. It's a discussion program. That's what we do. We discuss things. Are you going to take a vaccine, folks? Right. And if you are going to take a vaccine, which vaccine will you take? And will you? Which one will you take? And even after the vaccine, will you still feel safe? What do you think, boys?
Well, which vaccines will be available in this country? I'm not sure. Will it just be the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine, which is being developed in this country? So that would be the only option then.
No, I don't think it will. I think the Pfizer one is the one that's going to get brought into this country. That's what I think. I think that's
Well, the one that he says I'm not doesn't tell me to give up on my coffee.
He's on about the price
one
of.
that he says I don't have to give up on my cup of coffee, which is £3.
He's on about the price of the AstraZeneca one. But anyway, so we've got all those options. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's talk. Hang on. Arel, have you got any messages?
Well, besides the Tony Powell said good night, we have Dave Jinks that he says good night to Tony, and that's it.
See you later, Tony. Well, I've got some Gary Bailey.
Otherwise, I
Gary
don't
Bailey
think
has
I have.
said, you're right, Lee, they could spend it a lot better. Sound is not goodly. Hopefully it's got better, but if it hasn't, we'll sort out for next week, guys. I'm sorry about that, but
Yeah.
cheers for joining us anyway. And he said, I don't wish anyone dead, but what Diego Maradona did to England, I can't forgive. That was our best chance to win in the World Cup. Gary, I'm with you, my brother. I'm sorry, I'm with Gary, I'm sorry, but I am. He also says, I can't work out how this American firm is still going. They've been fined so many times, it's a joke. We'll have to look into that. Arel, have a look into Pfizer and see how many times they've been fined. PZIER.
Yeah, I know how to spell it.
Yeah, I know you do, but I don't mean that. And Gary Bailey agrees the fact that that Joe Biden doesn't agree with Brexit. We've said that. Did Jab we get 40 to 60%? And
Well, Pfizer agreed to pay fines totaling $20 million.
20
Fines?
For what?
For what?
Yeah.
For what?
In 2000, amid widespread criticism of the high price of AIDS medication, Pfizer offered to donate a 2-year supply of its drug, Diflucan, worth $50 million to South African government. Oh,
Okay.
Interesting.
Right.
Very interesting, in fact.
What's next on the news list?
Well, let's move on to something that is a stain on British history, which it actually is. There's no question about it. The Home Office, it's been stated today that the Home Office broke equality laws over the Windrush scandal, a report has found today. To make sure the events are never repeated, the government department has committed to an agreement with the EHRC to take action. Among the EHRC's recommendations which I'm sure they will. Of course they will. They always do. Engage with affected people, consider historical content and improve understanding and compliance with the public sector equality duty. Well, that to me just says an absolute load of bullshit. In my opinion, that's not admitting anything. That's not admitting anything. That's basically just whitewashing opaquely over a really bad stain on British history.
Yeah.
Because anyone that's ever gone into a hospital in this country or seen, the people that came to this country from abroad at that time that sustained the NHS, and that's only one. That's only a cliche, stereotypical portion of our country that they've actually sustained. Our brothers and sisters, our nephews and nieces that they become stain on British history that the Windows scandal has become is that's to me bullshit. What are your thoughts? I want your thoughts, Joe.
No, I agree completely. It is a stain, totally. How they handled it from the beginning, just like so many things the government fuck up.
Talking of government fucking things up, should we talk about fucking Boris?
Yeah.
Boris, what's his second name again? I can't remember it.
Bojo.
BJ, oh that's it, BJ. You and Arel know lots about this.
because you know from where?
BJ. Just BJ in general. Just BJ.
There are 2 letters from alphabetic, a B and a J.
There you go.
There's nothing so important about 2 letters from alphabet.
Besides,
Nothing interesting about them. They're just 2 letters, B and G.
yes,
J.
Boris does. Anyway, Lee, you can teach Orel the English language later. Let's move on to the mysterious monolith found in Utah.
All right. Well, there's a mysterious metal monolith, right? And it was found in a remote part of Utah in America. And a monolith, we don't know. It's like a statue. Well, it sort of is. It's like a big sort of that has just been found in the middle. It's like going, right? It's like going in this country. It's like going in the middle of the Lake District, and you climb up a hill for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and you're there and you berg out and you're sweating your bollocks off, and then you think, oh, look at that beautiful view, and all of a sudden you just suddenly see this big metal thing. There it is. There it is.
There it is. Now I've got a video of them finding it. Let's take a quick look at that, shall we?
Let's watch it. Go on.
They cut it in? Okay. Who does this kind of stuff? Yeah.
Interesting how it comes right, it's right at,
Yeah.
pointing right at the human crack.
Yeah. That is just wild. Huh.
We gotta see if there's any writing on it. What the heck?
So there you go. Could you see it?
So this was found, apparently it was found in a remote part of Utah, right, which is a huge expanse of sort of desert parts of it, by state officials who were counting sheep. That's the official statement. They said they were counting sheep and they found this. The object, which is estimated to be around 10 to 12 feet, which is like 3 to 3.6 meters.
Yeah.
For any American friends watching.
Fantastic.
I mean, it's like an art installation, really.
It was found planted in the ground. The object is 3 to 3.6 meters tall, and is made of some type of metal. It was found planted in the ground, tucked in a red rock cove.
Yeah.
So it was spotted by state wildlife officials who were helping to count sheep. They really were counting sheep. They weren't trying to go to sleep. They weren't trying to go to sleep. They were actually counting sheep from a helicopter around. So they were sat in a helicopter. Right. They've got like a big wildlife visitor, and they were counting the sheep to make sure all the sheep were there. Right. And then they found this big piece of fucking metal, right, in the ground. And that's the metal they just thing. Is it aliens, folks? What do you think?
Well, they said that you saw that on the monolith. I reckon it was put there by a Stanley Kubrick fan, 2001: A Space Odyssey or what? Well, I'm not sure if it was put by aliens. So probably they just been visiting, and when they found out there is COVID around this planet, they fuck off back in space. Just they put that one over there and say, oh, fuck off, we need to go out. There's COVID around this place.
Well, you know what, you are open up. Thing is, I say fuck so many times, right, that I don't even notice it. But you say it so infrequently that when you say the word fuck, it slams you in the face like a brick.
So, a bit of breaking news for you.
Moving on.
A bit of breaking news for you. Hold on. Bit of breaking news coming in. President Trump has just tweeted that he has pardoned former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn.
Michael Flynn, there you go. I meant to post this today really to you, Joe. So Michael Flynn, quickly, go on Google. Michael Flynn. Mike Flynn was, if I'm not mistaken, he was National Security Advisor for the Trump administration when he came into power. And then when the Mueller report came up, he was found to have colluded with the Russians. He was sat on the same table, I think it was with Putin, for fuck's sake. Anyway, he was imprisoned during the Trump campaign. And so, has he been pardoned, officially pardoned today?
Yeah, just.
What is his name? Mike what?
Michael Flynn, Flyn.
Flynn.
Flynn, yeah.
Yeah.
Flynn.
Been pardoned by Trump. I ask you boys, what do you think? What do you think about it?
What do you want to know about him?
What?
Oh, plan to pardon Flynn from former national.
Yeah. I mean, it's just bullshit. Next up, Trump's going to try and pardon himself as well. But, you know, I mean, Trump already has, I think it's the New York Attorney General waiting for him to leave office so he can take Trump to court for, I think it's something business related, but I'm not sure. But there are lawyers lining up to take Trump to court as soon as he leaves office. So he's in. So that's why Trump wants to pardon himself from everything.
And also, boys, he's also got this year coming. It's going to be great. Talk about you want to see an example of karma? You'll see it this year coming because he's got a load of debt, right? That he owns. I think it's something like $400 million in debt.
Yeah.
That he owns. That's been put at bed while he's in office, and it's all going to come creaming on his toes. I can't wait. And also, let's not forget. It's this week that he's finally, in a very small way, acknowledged the fact that he's now going to leave office because he has allowed part of the Biden administration to start the transition process between government. So that's like a small way of saying.
Well, the most who have to gain from this whole situation is his wife.
Is it what?
He lives with $50 million from his account. What are you on about? Exactly. According to the prenuptial contract, she's gonna fuck off with $50 million from Trump account. So.
Is that all she's gonna get? $50 million?
Yes, she's gonna get $50 million.
Well, that obviously tells you just how much.
But the previous ex-wives, they didn't get much. One, she got like $3 million or $5 million, but she's the one who gains more than anyone.
Good talking point, Ralph. Good talking point. So, his past two wives have got. So, Trump has claimed he's worth. Is it 3.4 billion? Right now, if you're worth 3.4 billion, then I can assure you right now, no matter what the fucking prenup says, that she's going to walk away with more than 50 if he's worth what he claims he's worth.
No, because she knows that he doesn't. His value is not that high, but $50 million still is something.
Well, let's keep our thumbs up, folks, and let's hope that fucking by this time next month, Trump will finally have been disgorged from our football.
We have a message from John Rose. He says, "You rehearsing a video for Christmas. We 3Ds of Facebook are. You have nothing to say and you are saying it too loud." Not sure what he wants to mean by that. We are recording. You're rehearsing a video for Christmas called, apparently, because in brackets, we 3 divs of Facebook are.
We 3 divs of Facebook.
You have nothing to say. You're saying
Okay. Well, what would he like to talk about? Maybe he could send us a quick comment on what he would like to talk about. But what I want to talk about next, I think he would find very interesting, is the Racing Pigeon. Yes, exactly. The Racing Pigeon, which, I mean, hey, look, if you don't know about pigeons, you don't know about much. This pigeon sold for £1.4 million in a mystery bidding war between a guy called Super Duper and another one called the Hitman. These are handles. But these are two Chinese bidders operating under the pseudonyms of Super Duper and Hitman. Drove up the price for a Belgian racing pigeon to £1.4 million. During a frantic final 30 minutes at the end of a 2-week auction in a Belgian auction house, for racing pigeons. These two Chinese guys. I mean, £1.4 million for a pigeon. What are they going to do with it? Race it, obviously, but
they're going to race it. There's some weirdos out there. And I won't have a bad word said about Belgian people. I've got a big following in Belgium. But it's strange. I have to tell you, it's strange. I mean, would you pay £1.3 million for any dog on cat?
no, it's too much money. It's wow. I mean, I can't believe somebody would pay that for a pigeon, even if it is a racing pigeon.
Well, if he doubles your investment, will you pay £1.4 million?
There you go. No, that's a good point. So, in order to pay £1.4 million, it would mean that you're going to have to get some sort of return on that kind of money.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well,
Racing Pigeon is going to return your doubles, how you invested. Why not? £1.4 million. There you go.
I've never been to a pigeon race
2.8
before.
back is 1.4 profit.
I've never been to a pigeon race before, so I don't know how much people win on pigeons.
I just realised something, by the way.
What?
Oh no, it's right. It's right.
But from pigeons to parrots.
From
Now
pigeons to parrots.
This hero of a parrot saved somebody from a fire, from a burning building in Australia. Eric the Parrot, he's called. Eric the Parrot alerted his owner about the fire at his home in Brisbane even before the smoke detectors did. The man's house in Brisbane, Australia was well alight when firefighters arrived to the scene of the parrot dragging the man out by his beak. No, I joke. But they arrived after 2 a.m. And he escaped without injury. He said his parrot named Eric woke him up before the smoke detectors and raised the alarm. I heard a bang and Eric, my parrot, started yelling, so I woke up and smelled a bit of smoke. That's brilliant.
So I need to take a parrot, buy a parrot.
So thank you. What was it?
Eric. And it's a good looking parrot, you know.
So folks, what you need to do at this point is you need to replace those smoke alarms in your house. Forget them, don't work. Get yourself a parrot called Eric. And
But you can call him Eric. It doesn't need to be called Eric when you buy it, but you can name it Eric.
Right.
Or,
you can call it whatever you want.
So, moving up in altitude to Mount Everest. You've heard, obviously, in the news that microplastics have been found throughout the world, in the oceans, in the ecosystem, and now it's been found up in Mount Everest. So,
Really?
yeah.
Really? No, has it really serious, has it?
Yeah, microplastics found
who in the name of God is go to Everest?
almost 8,500 meters up in Mount Everest, Everest Death Zone it's called. The samples were taken on the trekking routes close to a certain glacier at the Everest base camp and high into the Death Zone. Polyester, acrylic, nylon and other fibers were present in the samples collected. Some were present in samples from the balcony of Mount Everest, 8,500 meters up. So microplastics have engulfed the entire planet, it would seem.
So it's at the top of Everest and it's also at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, so it's literally...
What now?
The Earth is bathed in plastic.
So my question, who the hell is that crazy to go to an Everest now?
Thousands of people climb Everest.
So they don't. So the COVID didn't go there yet.
Well, I'm sure it does.
So what the hell they doing there? Now they go to hunt.
Maybe they're doing it in a COVID-safe way.
I would never
Like
go
what?
and climb Everest, obviously. But if I did, I'm sure. In all fairness, I'm sure if I did go and climb Mount Everest, I'd be going there with a packet of Monster Munch, right? And I don't know, I'd be going there with some tobacco, and that's all plastic. And I doubt very much when I'm freezing my car, wondering about recycling that plastic. So all these idiots that are going up there and climbing up Everest, yeah, and you're dumping your plastic, you need to think ahead and think, well, I need to take a recycling bag with me as well, because otherwise,
Well, they didn't put the recycling bins over there yet, isn't it?
Okay.
well, I ask you. Listen, what I ask you first is, right, you sat there in your house, like tonight, right, like we're sat here tonight, and, you know, you're comfy, you got sick, you got a kind of Stella or whatever, whatever your fancy is.
I have my bucket.
And yeah, you got your cup of tea, whatever, and you're watching, I don't know, Naked Attraction, and you're happy, right? And then you decide one night, you think, you know what I'm gonna do tomorrow? Fuck it, fuck this. I don't need this in my life no more. I'm gonna go and climb Mount fucking Everest, right? And you're fucking set off, right? I know for a fact that the last thing on your mind will be recycling.
I know.
It won't be in your head. You'll be thinking, I need to take do I take a green bag or a blue bag, or do I take? I don't know what I'm going to do here. So you're going to set off, and you're going to have your fucking bag of chipsticks and all that, and you set off on the mountain.
I'll probably start a campaign where it says install beams on the Everest.
Yeah, but I can see that happening, because if not mistaken, I saw something a while ago written where people were like travelling up to Everest, and there was a lot of litter, an awful lot of litter on the way up there. Like, you know, if you go on a beach in some stranded beach.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they want to go on the top of the Everest because wow, it's cool to be there. You're gonna get to have fame.
It's not cool to be there, but it's freezing to be
I
there.
know. It's the highest mountain in the world. It's got over 8,000 meters.
It's frostbite to be there. Who the fuck would want to be? It's like turning your meeting off and sitting in the fucking freezer for a night.
Only that one 10 times more colder than the freezer.
I think we've lost the plot. That's the end of the news stories, and that's the end of the show.
That's the end of our broadcast. So we give a big shout out to a big shout out to two people tonight. Obviously, our brother Chris Darling, who can't be with us tonight because he is obviously washing his hair. And also a big shout out to my late Nana, who died last week.
Yes.
Over to Orel and to
David says, "What Lee? You wouldn't take a pot noodle up Everest?"
Yes, I would. But
You need a Bombay bad boy to warm you up. Fuck, that sounds so wrong. No, it doesn't sound wrong. Only I'm not sure where you can find a Bombay bad boy to warm you up, Dave. But I'm sure Lee is gonna manage.
Hopefully next week we'll have the sound issue sorted out, and there won't be this distortion, which has been driving me crazy for the past 2 hours.
Boys, before we go, if you don't mind, just do one second. On Friday, there is going to be a march for the LGBTQ community, and it's going to be up to Highbury Fields. I'll post the details below on the comment section as to. There's a good chance that me and Tom Robinson will be performing there on the night. But whether we are, go down there and support the event, please. It's going to be social distance and it's going to put all the guidelines. But anyway, in the meantime, Joel, Orel, I love you, brother.
Yes, and we'll see you
watching.
next week, next Wednesday, 8 p.m. See you then.
8 p.m.
And we're out.
Joel,
Alexa,
Joel, can I say
lights on.
Yes.
Joel, the transition.
Oh, I know. Don't you love it?
Fucking do I love it. I love it. Where'd you get that from? Have you seen them, Orel?
Yeah.
They're fucking brilliant.
I found a website where I could do it, so I did it.
Joel,